Hey everyone, this is Mr. DeGennaro talking to you this summer again about low and high. One of the very first steps that we have to learn in learning how to listen to music. Listen to music is not an easy thing to do, especially when you're talking about classical and jazz. It's not that it doesn't make sense or it's boring. It's not. It's just that you weren't taught what to listen for. The SLOs and national standards, and as well as myself, I do believe in being able to listen to a piece of music, listen to its parts, and understand what that the composer, is trying to get across. There's a lot of different things, and as I show the kids these things throughout the course of the year, it really does matter, and it does make a difference as to what they take out of the song, not just a song. Okay, anyway, parents, I do understand why you say low and high. You know, turn it down, it's too high, so the kid turns it softer, or turn it up, it's too low, I can't hear it. That makes sense. And I tell the kids, and don't take offense, but I tell the kids our parents are ignorant, mine too. They don't quite understand or have to know the difference. There is a difference with that. Those who deal with the subject all the time need to know the vocabulary. You do for your own work. There's a lot of things that you would talk about that I would not even understand when it comes to your work. This work is my work, and unfortunately it's going to be your kids' work when they come to class. We've got to make sure they understand it. I'd like to see them do really well in the SLOs, they always do. But I would like to see them be able to listen to a piece of music when they leave bell and understand what the composer is trying to give them. You too, parents. Because if you learn these lessons pretty well, then you should be able to start to hear some of these things these classical and jazz and even rock and roll people are trying to show you. Okay, so anyway, low and high is not volume. Please understand it. It is not, no matter which way you look at it, it's not. Okay, low and high. Take a look behind me. I have some bars stacked up there underneath the word high. You'll see that there's big ones going down to little ones. Now, if I were you and I was stacking stones, if I wanted a stable stone structure, there's no way I'm going to stack them like this. It's just going to fall over. Unless you're doing corbelling, and those parents, if you know what corbelling is, you can look it up on Google. Corbelling is a way of making arches, okay? And there's some ancient arches, famous ones, that they use corbelling. But they got to lean on each other to work, not stand alone. So this is a very unstable way of doing things. Now, if you look over here, we have the base is bigger, it goes all the way to smaller ones on top. That's a very stable structure. And that's pretty much the way kids are going to stack those little rings. I was looking for one of those actually, but I couldn't find one this summer. Those ring things where they stack the rings in there and you want them to make sure they know all the colors and all that. Those are great, okay? It's a very basic thing for people to do. And likewise, they did that in their arts, and they did that in their strings, and they did that in everything. So when you see a string thing, like a harp, if you notice, the harp, the big ones are lower, and then the smaller strings go up higher. Maybe they're putting an arc, or maybe they're put straight, but they're still in that direction. Look at the Guinness arc for a Guinness stout beer. It's the same thing. It's a great example of showing you an ancient Celtic arc. Okay, so we stack things normally low to high, and that makes sense. And there's a reason why this works in music so well. It's a physics rule. And all things being equal, especially density, the physics rule states that the bigger the object, the lower the pitch. And the smaller the object, the higher the pitch. That means if I take a piece of metal, make one bigger than the other, the bigger one will always be lower and the smaller one will always be higher. That's true. That's physics, and we can't deny that. Okay, so pretend for a moment you have a whole bunch of pieces of metal, and we're going to put them in order. Which way we're going to put them in order, one on top of the other? Most likely like this. And that's exactly what they did. I'll show you. They did that with the xylophone, okay? Now glockenspiel is similar to this, just bigger, but the same thing. You want to have these big pieces down by your body when you're holding it up because it's a lot easier to hold. It's leverage. If you put them like this, with the big ones on top, it's going to want to bend, and you're always fighting that, much less playing music. So they were smart to do that, and most things, harps and such, were always situated like this, or maybe at an angle, you know what I mean? But either way, the smaller ones are higher. And that's exactly what it is. So that's where we get high and low from. You have a low piece down here, and each one gets smaller, and it gets higher and higher as we go, like climbing a ladder. And this is the way your staff works. This is where it goes with staff. So anyway, we got a big piece of metal here, same density and size and thickness as this piece up here, except this one's smaller. So the rule of physics applies. The pitches should get higher as we go, and indeed they do. And it does. Now, fifth graders, you have to hear that and see it on staff. Kindergartners, you have to know low versus high. And we'll talk about that in class a little bit more. Parents, please help me out. Teachers too, for that matter. Help me out. Don't say low for soft. They're not the same thing. You gotta say high for high and soft for soft. It's a whole other way of thinking for a lot of people, but it really does help that reinforcement comes. Because in class, it's gonna take me about 2 or 3 months to get them to see this more and more and more. Now please remember, I do not play my keyboards like this all the time. Can you imagine a piano being on its side? It just wouldn't work. So what they do is they lay it down. Now in front of me, it would be left to right. So left is always lower and right is always higher. Okay, so you gotta remember we're talking in a mirror, so it's opposites. Let me see if we can do it this way. Maybe that might help. So on your, I don't know, either way. So either way, you got to see that. So the bigger the key, the lower the object, okay, and the lower the pitch. It really makes a big difference in the class. We need to see this because students, where we're going to go from this is musical memory. We have to be able to not remember 2 pitches, but 2 phrases. And then we're going to put the phrases in order in 2nd grade. And in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, we're going to start comparing songs. They have several phrases to put in order. And it all starts with low and high. That's why it appears back on the 4th and 5th grade SLO. It goes back to low and high. It always comes back to that. So we have to know this too. All right, so parents, remember, low and high like climbing a ladder, okay? And your staff does the same thing. Okay, anyway, thank you very much. Hopefully you understand.